This is the North Mobile Post radio show, and I am your host, David Merrill. The big story continues to be, yet again, Tropical Storm Isaac. It is now Tropical Storm Isaac, downgraded yesterday. Maximum sustained winds as of the 11 p.m. Eastern Time update were at 60 miles per hour. The central pressure was at 980 millibars, and the storm was continuing to move northwest at 6 miles an hour. It is crawling along. But it's already brought a lot of damage to the area, mostly through rainfall and storm surge. And President Obama has declared a major disaster area in both Louisiana and Mississippi. In Louisiana, over 670,000 people were without power early Thursday morning. The state spent $24 million on emergency response efforts thus far, according to Weather.com. And I believe, 24,000 people in Mississippi without power. Now, again, this storm, the big problem with it thus far is it's just moving so slowly. Rain is the big issue. River flooding. When you combine that with the storm surge, it just causes a lot of problems. And thus far, Isaac has dumped more than 19 inches of rain on New Orleans. They're getting over 13 inches of rain in Mississippi. That means this storm is dumping more rain on the area than Katrina did, to put that into perspective. Thus far, the levees have held in New Orleans, but there's been talk of purposefully opening some to relieve some of the pressure. And actually, levees did fail in Plaquemines Parish, and several people had to be rescued by government authorities. And regular people had to get in there and help people who are trapped in attics and trapped on roofs, very similar to the Katrina situation. And it is just, overall a terrible, terrible situation yet again. Yesterday was the 7th anniversary of Katrina hitting, and there they were again getting hit by another devastating storm. Luckily, this one is not going to be as bad as Katrina was, but it's still not good. Now, the other big event, of course, is the Republican convention. And tonight it was highlighted by two speakers, really. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State under George W. Bush, and, of course, Vice Presidential candidate Paul Ryan. Condoleezza Rice, she received near universal praise for her speech. A lot of people thought she did very well. She told her personal story about growing up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama, and really put a very powerful anecdote talking about how even growing up in segregated Alabama, her parents made her believe she could grow up to be anything she wanted, even President of the United States, and she did grow up to be Secretary of State. Very powerful speech. Like I said, a lot of people, even on the left, were gave high praise to her speech. I caught a bit of it. I didn't catch all of that. I was switching back and forth with the weather coverage, keeping up with that. But I did catch Paul Ryan's speech, and I gotta say, I came away very impressed with his speech. There were some problems with it, and I'm going to get into that, but he's another speech. He got a lot of praise for his speech. There was a lot of red meat in that. The crowd loved it, of course. I think, Republicans watching it were going to love that speech. I'm not sure how it's going to play with independents. This was the speech, I talked about yesterday how a lot of the speakers didn't really go after Obama. He wasn't even mentioned by name. Well, Ryan mentioned him by name. He turned out to be the attack dog. That is the traditional position for the vice presidential candidate. And he played it to a T. He went after Obama a lot, mentioned him by name, and like I said, a lot of red meat for the base in this speech. He got a lot of praise too. Steve Schmidt on MSNBC, he was in the John McCain campaign. He said Romney may be the head of the party now as the nominee, the presidential nominee, but he called Ryan the head of the conservative movement. And a lot of other people have echoed those comments. Ed Schultz, also on MSNBC, said he is the best young conservative presenter we have seen in a long time. That is high praise for a very liberal commentator from MSNBC and Ed Schultz. Now, I heard a lot of the same lines he's used along the campaign trail. talking about Medicare. He said, we want this debate, we need this debate, and we will win this debate. And another one of his new favorite lines is, we need to reapply our founding principles, something along those lines. Good lines. They must, poll well, and he executes them well. And that's the whole thing. He really, and I think it was Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC who said he has his big conservative ideas, and he simplifies them, and he sells them well. Like Ed Schultz said, he is a great presenter of the conservative cause. And that's what I thought as well. He just packages it so well, and he delivers his lines so well. And I just couldn't help thinking while I'm watching this, the contrast with 4 years ago when Sarah Palin was making that speech. Her speech got a lot of praise from conservatives, and, another speech, a lot of red meat in there. But, wow, it is just the difference between Sarah Palin and Paul Ryan is like night and day. Two totally different candidates, and this guy is sharp. He's young, he's sharp, and he is going to be a formidable opponent to the incumbent team. Now, there were some issues with his speech, though, and this is some issues the Romney campaign has had overall, and it's a matter of facts. He had a couple of things he stated that are just not necessarily true. He mentioned a plant that closed in Wisconsin that Obama promised to keep open. Well, that statement is not factually accurate. Obama did not promise to keep the plant open, number one, and number two, the plant closed during the George W. Bush presidency. And that's something Paul Ryan has said before, and he has been called on that. And he also mentioned the deficit commission, how President Obama ordered it and then didn't use it, but he, of course, this wasn't really not something that was a lie, but he failed to point out that he also voted against the deficit commission, and he walked out on it. So that was not something he supported either. And then we get, of course, into the Medicare debate, where he talks about President Obama taking rating from Medicare to pay for Obamacare. And again, this is not something that's necessarily factually incorrect, but it's kind of disingenuous in that Obama is not necessarily hurting benefits. In the Obamacare legislation, there are savings taken from Medicare, but those savings actually make Medicare last longer. Right now, not right now, but before Obamacare was passed, Medicare was set to run out of money by 2016. It was going to be bankrupt. And these savings, which do not come from seniors, seniors will not be affected by these changes. They come from the payment side, from, payments that go to doctors and all that. It's savings that take care of waste and things like that were just killing the program. And this actually extends the Medicare program for an additional 8 years. It is now solvent until 2024, whereas it was going to run out of money in 2016. So that argument, it's not a good argument for him to have, and I really think the Medicare, our debate is going to hurt them in the long run. But those are just a couple of things he said, like I said, and this all plays into a narrative. The Romney campaign also has a ad on attacking Obama on this waiver he gave states on welfare reform, on the work requirement in welfare. And the Romney campaign's attacking him, saying he got rid of it, when that's not true. He actually gave states more leeway and, using education or something like that. And this is something actually Republican governors asked for, including Mitt Romney himself back in 2005. They want more leeway within the work requirement in welfare in order to better the program. It's usually a typical Republican argument. They want more state rights to do things. The states, let the states do it as like an experiment, and then, it can be picked up by other states. And when called on this, multiple fact checkers have, confirmed that these ads are very misleading. They're wrong. And a Romney spokesman said, we're not going to let the campaign be dictated by fact checkers. And implying basically they don't care if it's right or wrong. If it's factually incorrect, they're going to run it. And so you couple that with some of the things Ryan said that have been called out wrong in the past. I don't think that's a good narrative for them. And if the Obama campaign ties them to these, and turns attention to them being liars, that is a horrible narrative for them. That is not something you want to be, known for, is putting out misleading ads. Of course, everybody does it to a degree, but you can't have one of your campaign people come out and say, we're not going to be dictated by fact checkers, and, continually put out ads that everybody is saying is false. It's, very similar. This happened sort of to the Obama campaign with that ad. Well, actually, it wasn't the Obama campaign. It was their super PAC, which they are technically, and I put in quotation marks, not in connection with. We all know these campaigns are connected with the super PACs, but legally they can't be. But they, of course, the super PAC, put out an ad that insinuates that Romney took over this company and laid off this worker, and the worker's wife later died from cancer, and they try to make it almost like a connection, like Romney's responsible for the lady's cancer. And Obama got hammered for that, even though he didn't put it out. And he stopped. That ad actually, I don't know if it ever saw the light of day, but because of news coverage, it actually got covered a lot. But I don't think that ever aired on TV, whereas Romney is actually airing these ads that are being called out. If people attack your ads like that, calling them false or bad, it's probably in your best interest to take them off the air. But he is sticking with it, and we're going to have to see which way the public goes on that. Are they going to fall for it, or are they going to, are the fact checkers going to get out there enough to where people see it's not true? And that's the same thing, and Lawrence O'Donnell made this argument on MSNBC about the Ryan, all his statements, that it doesn't matter that they're not true. He delivered them right, he delivered them simply, and they sink in and they're effective. And I think he has a point to a degree, but that's a bit of an old school mentality. I think nowadays, with the internet, with Twitter, with social media, the truth gets out there. And over on Fox News, in fact, they were working with Twitter, and they're kind of measuring candidates, like how they're viewed on Twitter, positively, negatively. And I don't know what this metric was, but Paul Ryan, before his speech, his rating was at 33. To give a comparison, Obama's was at 32, Mitt Romney's was at 60, which jumped way up following Ann Romney's speech last night. But after Paul Ryan's speech, he was only at 37. He did not get a big bump from his speech. Like I said, in that hall, it was, electric. He, to conservative, he was big, but that's why I said I wasn't sure necessarily if it worked over on independents. So in this digital age, I don't know if you can get away with, we don't follow fact checkers. You got to follow, you can't keep airing ads that everyone in the media is saying are false. You have to go with the media, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, excuse me. You have to go with them. If the media is sitting there calling your ads out as false, you can't keep airing them. Just like the Obama Super PAC couldn't keep airing that ad or even start airing that ad when it got attacked by the media. You'll just get destroyed. When you've got, CNN, MSNBC, and all the networks coming out saying these ads are false, just if Fox News disagrees with them, the one network disagrees with them, is not going to be enough to overcome it. And that leads me to the final topic I want to talk about, and that is the bias in the media today. I haven't, as I watch these these conventions, I haven't been watching it on the networks. I've been watching it on mostly Fox News and MSNBC. I like to watch these networks because they are just basically in the tank for the two sides. Fox News is completely, despite their fair and balanced, moniker, they are completely conservative for the Republicans. And on the other side, MSNBC is completely in bed with the Democrats and is liberal. And so I like to watch both because you get a good perspective on, what each side thinks of each other. But my goodness, the partisanship is just crazy. MSNBC, it was just attack, attack, attack. They did praise Condi Rice a little bit, but they were all over Ryan's, false statements, whereas Fox News, it's like yesterday, Ann Romney, after her speech, Brit Hume, who's supposed to be a respected journalist, came out and said it was one of the best speeches ever by a presidential candidate's wife. That's a bit slobbering, if you will. That was a bit too far. I wouldn't say it was a terrible speech. I wasn't overly impressed with it, but it definitely was not one of the best I've ever heard from a presidential candidate's wife. That's the last I wanted to say about that. Just a little bias on the two sides. It is a little ridiculous. And that about wraps up today's show. Be sure to check in tomorrow. We'll have more headlines and cover the last day of the Republican convention and Mitt Romney's speech. And we'll see you then.